by former Environment Minister Professor Frimpong Boateng. Plus some other stories will bring you some international news as well as street battles continue between Sudan's rival forces despite calls for a ceasefire to mark the Muslim holiday of Eid Fitr. You're welcome to the program. We have details of these stories and a lot more coming to you in the next 60 minutes if you stay with us. Let's start off with this issue that has dominated the country's discussion since it broke. We're talking about the revelations in Professor Frimpong Boateng's Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining report. And political commentator and a private legal practitioner, Martin Pigbo, has called for the establishment of an independent commission of inquiry to probe into the report on illegal mining by former Environment Minister Professor Frimpong Boateng. He spoke on Key Point earlier.
In a matter like this, Alfred, in a matter like this, the best that the president, or let me say one of the most viable things he had to do, was to set up a commission of inquiry. You see, because it is a matter of national interest.
A commission of inquiry?
Yes, as sanctioned by the Constitution. Because when you do that, what it does is that then it gives the people the opportunity to come. Everybody will have their say publicly. Commission of inquiry, Professor Jampo, you support it? Yes. Commission of inquiry, because when you do that, yes, of course, the word independent is very, very important.
An independent commission of inquiry.
Yes, otherwise, if you're going to put party foot soldiers like what he has done to the Electoral Commission, you will never get independence. So, remember the Electoral Commission appointed Dr. Apia Hine and Salim Matijani.
How would this independent commission of inquiry function, as it were, to establish the facts beyond the responses of the people who have been captured in there as having allegedly been involved in illegal mining?
Great. So you know that from the way we do it, they would have sat openly. You remember Ayawasu West Wagon, this by-elections violence, the one that indicted Brian Champo and the rest, the party foot soldiers who were given national security uniforms and the rest, that day of shame. So you see that they sat in the public. People were cross-examined, Azugu and co, in public, and we all heard and made up our minds even before the commission report came. So that was the style that the president was supposed to use. But you know, because the president has sworn never to fight corruption, but to cover up things, all he had to do was to cover up, just pretend like the report doesn't exist. Okay?
The president sworn
by his deeds. Yes, by his deeds. That's the way I understand. What do you think? When the president is not interested in fighting corruption, that's how we see it. So, Honorable Sam George, you guys are also indicted here. So, did you ever,
when you say you guys,
as MPs, because members of parliament under Article 278, you can also ask for the president to set up a commission of inquiry as the body. You know, parliament, you have a duty.
The things you've asked the president to do, has he listened to you?
But you are representatives.
So look, lawyer, that would have been done if the MPs had knowledge of this report, correct?
Yes, but
so now that the report is public, you would expect that you want them to.
Yes, they should wade in. So let's go to 278.
So when we come back from recess,
it says that
we may call for a parliamentary probe or something.
Excellent. It says that subject to Article 5 of this Constitution, the President shall, by constitutional instrument, appoint a commission of inquiry into any matter of public interest where A, the President is satisfied that a commission of inquiry should be appointed, or B, the Council of State advises that it is in the public interest to do so, or C, Parliament, by a resolution, requests that a commission of inquiry be appointed to inquire into any matter specified in the resolution as being a matter of public importance. So our MPs, we are looking forward to this. Activate it.
Well, political historian and Professor Ransford Jampo also supported the calls for an independent commission to probe the report. He also called for reforms to Ghana's mining laws to ensure protection of the environment. While speaking on Key Point, Professor Ransford Jampo argues that the country's elders, the Council of State, they should make their presence felt in issues like this.
I'm very sad this morning. And if you listen to the conversations, if you read the reports, you see how we have decided to destroy the very source of our livelihood, i.e. the environment, and how we are blaming each other for destroying our own source of environment, and how we have refused as a people to really put in place actions that ensure that we do not put more ecological footprints on the environment. It hurts, and like the former Deputy Attorney General said, maybe we are on a tangent of mass suicide. And if we don't pull the brakes, we would pay heavily for the consequences. You see, the effect of Galamsey has no discrimination on partisan coloration. It affects all of us.
Indeed.
And so I think we should be more serious. I have a feeling that the president could not sustain his promise to put his presidency on the line, especially given the outcome of the 2020 elections that I've always described as a victory with a taste of defeat for the MPP. Number two, it appears again that the state has also failed to protect the environment for posterity, even though Article 36 enjoins us to do so. And I'm still wondering whether we still have a credible body called the Council of State. I'm wondering whether we still have elders in this country. I am wondering whether we still have sober minds in Ghana. If we still have elders in this country who are expected to live over and above partisan politics and to look at things dispassionately without fear or favor, then I'm surprised why we haven't hurt them all these years in this fight. If they are truly elders in Ghana, then I am sorry to say that they are no longer worth their salt to occupy that status as elders. Because some of these things, if you leave it to the MPP NDC argument and this discourse, we would never win the battle against, illegal mining.
Indeed.
And so you would expect that some people will rise above partisan politics and begin to speak and to begin to make the serious calls on government to act. But everybody is quiet.
That is not going away anytime soon. We're talking about mining, illegal mining specifically. Let's speak with Francis Opoku, who is Director of Finance and the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners, for some perspectives and opinions on the conversation so far. Francis, grateful for your time with us on the program. You've seen the report, you've heard the conversations surrounding the report from Professor Frimpong Boateng giving to the President in 2021. What's your initial reaction to that?
Yeah, let me say good afternoon to your terrorist viewers and listeners all over Ghana and abroad. And let me also take this opportunity to say good morning to all my fellow miners, especially one young guy, Ajuri, Amian Kwanta, who has been doing tremendously for the sector in terms of equipment, engineering work. Yeah, going to the question. The report is so astonishing, but it's not surprising to most of us in the sector, in the sense that we knew from day one that the government officials who have always been complicit when it comes to involvement in this Galamsey issue is there. It's an open secret. So to us, it's not surprising. But we I think people are saying that Professor Frimpong Boateng has taken too long to come out with this report. But to me, he's done the right thing because there should be always the first time. All that they are saying they are things that we in the sector know that if we have to blame somebody or an institution, it should be the government because they are the people who are supposed to monitor the system, who are supposed to supervise the sector. They rather are creating the biggest problem for the sector. And they end up messing everything up. So to us, it's not surprising because it's not only this government. It started even from the NDC in the past. Look at the birth of Asa 1. Government officials who are supposed to be clean and supposed to, lead in this fight, they always turn out to be getting concessions for themselves out of greed. You wonder.
Right, Francis. So the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners, you've had several engagements with government in an effort to, stop the fight, stop Galamsey. Let's talk about the engagement you've had with government on the back of this report. We're seeing the report is coming from a top government official, Professor Frimpong Boateng, while he was in government. And we're seeing the other names mentioned also even with the presidency. Now we're seeing accusations and counter-accusations. In the meetings that you participated in, what was the nature of the conversations going on? What did you pick?
Oh, come again with a little bit.
So what I'm asking is the meetings that you were part of in an effort to stop illegal mining vis-a-vis the report that Professor Frimpong Boateng has brought out now in the face of the accusations and counter-allegations against Professor Frimpong Boateng and the other names mentioned in the report. What was the nature of the engagement you had with government? Did you have a sense of a lack of trust or effort in fighting illegal mining?
Yeah, you see, we've been engaging the government on several issues pertaining to how we go about it. We have time and over said that the fight against illegal mining is a very complicated fight because we live in a country where economic opportunities are so limited. So people, most of the time, find avenues where they can easily go in and then make money for survival. So, one, we have been always telling the government that this issue of people getting a job to do, to get food, to put food on their tables, the approach to fighting it is difficult. So, the government should find a way to just create a scenario where their people don't get involved. Because in as much as we try to ensure that people work in a responsible manner, once there's somebody who is supported by the government machinery in there, the law doesn't work with them. So that's why you have a situation where you go to a site, there are two people, one is working, without license, without all the duties, but you have connection with the government. And so for that person, even the institutions cannot even supervise his operation. And people out of greed have taken advantage and they join the political parties so that when they are working, they are doing illegalities. Nobody can arrest them. So we have told the government that they should let people who are involved one way or the other in the government not to come into the business of mining because they will not allow themselves to be supervised. And the law,
Francis,
when they do the wrong thing, the law even don't do anything against them.
Francis, thank you so much. We've been speaking with Francis Opoku, Director of Finance and PRO of the Ghana Association of Small-Scale Miners on the subject. We're still staying on this issue, but take a step back and look at series of meetings and stakeholder engagements which were held last year, all aimed at finding a solution to the Galamsey menace. And that was after the report was given to the presidency. Claims by former Minister of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, alleging collusion and involvement of top government officials in illegal mining, popularly known as Galamsey, has dominated the news cycle this week. In a 36-page report to the President, Chief of Staff and the Police Service, Professor Frimpong Boateng asserted that his efforts at fighting illegal mining were frustrated by some government officials, some of whom are in the office of the President. Mind you, the report was submitted in 2021. But after failing to get attention from the powers that be, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng repeats the allegations in an interview with state broadcaster GTV. At this point, he gets the attention of President Akufo-Addo and he directs the police to investigate the claims. Between the time the report was submitted to the presidency and period the report lead, series of meetings and stakeholder engagements had taken place, all aimed at fighting the solution to the Galamsey menace. Amongst the interventions was a meeting between President Akufo-Addo and the National House of Chiefs, as well as the Metropolitan, Municipal and District Chief Executives. Others include a meeting with traditional authorities in the Ashanti region that had the Asantehene criticizing his sub-chiefs for being complicit and government for shirking its responsibility. These are just a few of the high-profile meetings and interventions that happened post the report by Professor Frimpong Boateng to the presidency. Many Ghanaians have been asking whether it wouldn't have been better for the president to take actions based on the findings from the former minister in 2021. Well, that's a question that we would like for you to share your opinions on all our social media handles at TV3 Ghana as we move away from that subject. But certainly this conversation is continuing on other platforms here on TV3 and other sister stations in the country. To some other subject, we're talking about the festivities we're in at the moment. Eid Mubarak. Vice President Dr. Bawumia has urged Muslims to continue to uphold the virtues of Ramadan even as they end the month-long fast. Addressing this year's Eid celebrations at the Blackstone Square in Accra, the Vice President noted the government is having in the past few years undertaking inclusive policies which have benefited especially the underprivileged in the society.
One of the most significant attributes of Eid al-Fitr is its extension of kindness and generosity to humanity, especially to the less privileged in society, to ensure that no one is excluded from enjoying the festive period. Islam preaches inclusiveness, and inclusiveness at the family, community, and national levels breeds harmony. Our government has been inspired by the spirit of inclusiveness to, over the past 6 years, pursue inclusive policies which embrace all and are also bearing fruits for the collective development of our country. Brothers and sisters, there are so many examples of what we have done to recognize and include everyone as a fundamental national framework for our collective takeoff and progress. Our vigorous national digital identity and property address system is a clear example of our inclusive policy to recognize every Ghanaian and household, regardless of economic and social status. A unique identity as a Ghanaian is a right which cannot be denied anyone. Thus far, we have done about 17 million enrollments on the national ID, and that is very, very significant, and we will continue. Our transformational mobile money interoperability has also provided financial inclusion to both the millionaire business executive in the cities and the petty trader in the small market in the village, who may never have bothered to open a bank account. Both of them can now make financial transactions seamlessly from a bank account to a Momo wallet and vice versa. Thanks to our inclusive policy for collective development, every constituency today has an active ambulance taking care of emergencies on a daily basis. And thanks to our inclusiveness, every Ghanaian child has free access to secondary education and vocational training. One of our inclusive development policies has also been the establishment of the Special Development Agencies, which includes the establishment of the Zongo Development Fund as a special development vehicle for Zongo development. Until 6 years ago, it was never heard before independence that a national budget would have a special allocation for Zongo development.
Now, we know that Muslims across the country have brought to an end their 30 days of fasting, also known as Ramadan. For those in Salaga in the Savannah region, the day was used to pray for the leaders of the country and the current economic challenges.
Ramadan is one of the pillars of Islam, which mandates Muslims to fast for 30 days. Muslims use this period to pray for themselves, their relatives, and the nation as a whole. It is in light of this that the youth of Salaga in the East Gonja municipality of the Savannah region organized Quranic recitation and prayers for the country.
We organized this particular Quranic recitation to pray to Almighty Allah for His continuous guidance and protection for the people of Salaga, for the people of Ghana in its entirety.
This is our 7th annual Quranic recitation, of which after this recitation we normally visit the prison service. We also visit the hospital, prepare some food and assorted drinks and distribute it to them.
Meanwhile, National Chief Imam Sheikh Usman Nuh Sharbutu, through his spokesperson Sheikh Arimiyao Shaibu, has announced the sighting of the new moon. He, however, stated that the 2023 Eid al-Fitr will be officially observed on Saturday, April 22.
To the eminent National Chief Imam indicates that an authenticated information has come from the Ashanti region with respect to the sighting of the moon, specifically at Kenyasi, Truba, in the Kwabri East district of the Ashanti region. This is the basis on which the Chief Imam gathered us here in the exercise of his mandate as the National Chief Imam to announce to us officially that the new moon of Shawwal has been sighted. And in this regard, tomorrow we are all not going to fast, but as officially made known to us through the Chief Imam and the Minister of Interior, we are going to celebrate the Eid al-Fitr on Saturday. On Saturday.
Well, we're still wishing our Muslim brothers and sisters a very happy Barkat de Salah. You're watching Media Live on TV3. My name is Noble Crosby, and we're back with more stories, but after the break, stay with us.
Fortune rice, it needs just a little water. The grains don't stick and the aroma and taste are delicious. Fortune rice, always on point, just like mom.
Now introducing Fortune Emopa, your tasty Ghana rice for all your rice meals.
This advert is FDA approved.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. Who will be careful M-Punch one?
Chesena me ankasa me period na se problems wom ntina ma wo ho idea ma me papa chesena nya asem ketewa na me coin point no mo hwe me modam no mo hwe bibia na so mo medro a me fire no ene ma won kra mienu hofro kwa na mkwan mu a eba
head everything yourself
me ma me no adwodwo eda ho a wontumi nante ene ne ko end point o mama no nura ene ne ho idea watimi asori anante.
That's end point for you. Hello. Hey, what che?
Okay.
A free bra with the end point what dance. I'm a choir no. me Joseph Semane Nkoye, and person my Emina, and a Magina Sabema. Now, many fear for the one in Jarissa. You heard everything. I have secret. M-Punch is my secret. M-Punch homeopathic clinic. I'm free. Abrantie me hu from Sobia on home. I see.
Sa Abrantie we o ka kire nkrofo ni say me mo bia anto home appliance e wo so bia keke. Na o sa kwa so ya ajenkwa ohene sesai kan ni important ni na odin nchesha dada manfo ase o madi poto. Mewi na me si yanka ha kwa ko ke ho se na wa se ho iti
Asasi, anyone did you do any I am in major dear? And what has a memo nipa who near ye? Nay, papa.
Nay, papa.
And it's only papa 20 home appliances in our car farm. As I one you are near me so far so pet. This day, car farm of sorted. But it 1 year man so I could do 65%.
TV can say, no boys.
And sure, I'm not so too.
Yet, you can say what you fear.
Anyhow.
Yeah, Abrantie me be someone obi antimi ka kire me denti ese me kuno. En someone kan susu to asum. Afi wei ye de Yesu hu be che no. If so kan sempa. Afi fufro no ye be dwen. Maka famfo enso to me.
Anyhow. Hello? Kafam. Uma sorti Ponto Pilato mame.
Digitals are yours. Michelle Kofaka from TV Kasian Bremi.
Ratchet, Mahonia.
Confirm. Assorted Easter promo. Up to 65% off.
Welcome back to the broadcast. Now, spokesperson for Alan Chimanting, a flag bearer hopeful of the new patriotic party, Yaboaben Asamoah, has refuted claims that the immediate past Minister for Trade and Industry did nothing to see the Commander Sugar Factory function. Yaboaben Asamoah spoke with the Central Regional Correspondent Thomas Khan during Alan Chimanting's tour of the region.
He, Mr. Chimanting, as Minister of Trade and Industry, was pursuing strategic investments into the Commander Sugar Factory. I believe just before he stepped down, they had virtually identified a strategic partner. But now he's out of government. I believe the current minister will try and carry on those initiatives. Given the opportunity to be president, he will really be in the driving seat in terms of determining what happens to the Commander Sugar Factory. And I'm confident, I am very, very confident that the right thing will be done for that factory to run.
Still on factories, Ghana Cocoa Board will complete phase 1 of the Cocoa Farmers Pension Scheme by the end of April 2023. The scheme seeks to ensure a decent pension for farmers, improve their welfare and make cocoa farming attractive to the youth. Public Affairs Manager at Cocoa Board Fifi Boafo says 70% of the farmers within the 15 districts of the scheme so far have opted to contribute more than the mandatory 5% required from each farmer.
The Ghana Cocoa Farmers Pension Scheme is akin to a Tier 3 pension as has been established in the country. The scheme was designed for farmers to contribute 5% of the produce sold at the cocoa shed, out of which Cocoa Board also contributes 1%. According to the Public Affairs Manager at Cocoa Board, Fifi Boafo, a contributor may opt out after 5 years and enjoy full benefits, retire at 55 years, or stay on for a longer time.
About 70% of the farmers are opting to contribute more than the 5% mandatory contribution. The mandatory contribution of the farmer is 5%, and these farmers are opting to contribute more because they believe that it is the only existing arrangement that will provide them a decent retirement. And if there's something that will provide them a decent retirement, there's every reason for them to contribute more than the 5%.
He further explains the second phase of the scheme will rope in more farmers from about 55 districts.
The 15 districts will bring the process to an end this week, and then we'll roll out the other 55 districts. But so far, the lessons from these 15 districts has been very, very encouraging, and it's been successful so far.
Cocoa Board is enjoined by Section 26 of the Cocoa Board Law 1984, PNDC Law 81, to establish a contributory insurance scheme within the framework of the Social Security Scheme to enable cocoa farmers to enjoy well-deserved pension after retirement.
Now, the Executive Secretary of the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, Samuel Amagaibo, has attributed the decline in the real estate industry to increasing cost of building materials due to high taxes, amongst others. Samuel Amagaibo, in an interview with Three Business, said the trend has become increasingly worrying.
Real estate, a subsector of the services industry, which contributed the highest to Ghana's GDP, however, saw a decline in growth with a negative year-on-year growth of 7.6% between 2021 and 2022. The industry laments government taxes worsening the already increasing cost of building materials.
We have been saddled with very high and astronomical increment in the cost of building materials. Now that the price has gone up because of all the issues, the external factors, the dollar-cedi exchange rate, it means that government tax component, which is a percentage of the product price, has equally gone up. So why don't we look at just giving some flat rates to apply to some of this importation, to help us manage the increments internationally and how it's affecting the industry. We haven't heard anything in that area. We keep, like everybody is left to survive, manage it. The prices on the market are as it is. If you can pay, pay. If you cannot pay, take a decision on what you want to do.
According to the Executive Secretary of Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, members survive on pegging their property rates to the dollar.
How do you survive under a situation like this? To borrow money, the economic factors itself is not helping, and so purchasing power of many people have dwindled, and so you will be hoping that the prices too should come down. But the prices on the market have gone up, including interest rates for loans and credit facility. So you can see that there's a wide gap at the moment. Most of the local customers are struggling, especially those who may have even taken on dollar mortgages, for example.
There are calls for governments to engage more with industry players to discuss policy measures that will favor both governments and the real estate industry.
To some other subject, malaria-related deaths among all ages has reduced from 333 to 151 as of the end of 2022. A manager at the National Malaria Elimination Program, Dr. Kezia Malm, at a media briefing ahead of World Malaria Day, called for more efforts to improve the gains made.
There were an estimated 116,000 malaria deaths globally in 2021 compared to 625,000 in the first year of the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2019, before the pandemic struck, the number of malaria deaths stood at 568,000, with malaria cases seeing a continuous rise between 2020 and 2021, but a lower rate between 2019 and 2020.
Last year, we recorded 5.2 million. It's a reduction of the previous year, which was around 5.7, but it's still quite a high number. And I think that's where our challenge is. The cases and admissions due to malaria continues to be very high.
Programs manager for the National Malaria Elimination Program noted, although malaria-related deaths have reduced, more work needs to be done.
We are going to enhance our surveillance. When the numbers are huge, we are doing aggregates. In areas where numbers are low, we are going to do case-based. We hope to introduce some more chemoprevention strategies so that we clear the parasites a bit more.
World Malaria Day is commemorated on April 25 annually to recount the successes and challenges in the fight against malaria globally. Malaria is still a disease of global threat, as half of the world's population continues to be at risk from preventable, treatable disease, which causes a child to die every minute. In Ghana, it is endemic and perennial, with children under 5 and pregnant women sharing greater brunt of the disease. This year's World Malaria Day is on the theme, Time to Deliver Zero Malaria, Invest, Innovate and Implement.
Well, key findings in a survey conducted by the Global Center for Pluralism in partnership with the Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, has revealed that the opposition, the National Democratic Congress and the ruling New Patriotic Party cannot win elections by relying solely on their ethnic basis. The report launched in Accra recommended 2 political parties to develop a national appeal in order to win the elections.
The key findings show a massive underrepresentation to socio-economic exploitation. The findings further shows gender rights institutions are poorly resourced. The report shows the 2 main political parties in Ghana have never won elections only with their ethnic bases.
If you look at strongly party support for the NDC and the MPP, most of them will hover around between 44, 45, 46%, at most 47. But you need 50+1 to be able to win elections. So it means that political parties, especially the NDC and the MPP, will have to brand beyond just their core party voter support.
Executive Director of the Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh, noted the monitoring assessment report is to measure progress in democracy, inclusive development, and other related state issues.
We have a strong hope and expectation that the reports that we launched today and subsequent reports in the same vein will help inform our policy makers in making sure that we have a diverse, socially cohesive society.
Raj Vigil is the program officer of Global Center for Pluralism.
There is the treatment of ethnic groups that need to be addressed, especially in the north as well, and the disparity in economic conditions between the regions as well, and the migrant issue as well has come up in the report.
Soil depletion in Africa should be viewed as a disaster that requires emergency and immediate attention, according to the director of the Alliance for Africa Partnership Secretariat, Professor Richard Nkwadire. About 40% of Africa's soil nutrients are being lost, leading to reduction in food production.
Africa has the most impoverished soils as tons of soil nutrients wash into the sea. The main cause of Africa's poor soil health is soil erosion, which occurs when wind or rain sweeps topsoil away. The amount of soil that is carried away is influenced by the strength of the rain or wind, the soil quality, the topography, and the amount of shrubs. Ghana's savanna regions are among the worst affected on the continent. Food production in Africa would have to expand by roughly 100% by 2050 to keep up with population demands. But Professor Richard Nkwadire regards the current situation as an emergency because 83% of sub-Saharan Africans depend on agriculture.
Everybody agrees that our soils in Africa are some of the most depleted. This is an emergency, it's a crisis which we need to attend to. It's a crisis which our leaders need to attend to. It's an emergency that needs to be addressed.
The Deputy Minister for Food and Agriculture in charge of crops, Yao Frimpong Addo, acknowledged the crucial role of fertilizer and soil health in promoting agricultural output for food, nutrition security and higher income.
The private sector actors in the agribusiness and fertilizer value chains are facing serious challenges in playing their roles in making fertilizer available and accessible, as you add, affordable to the smallholder farmers across West Africa. And this is adversely affecting the attainment of the set goals and targets for the agricultural development initiatives in our respective countries.
CEO of African Fertilizer and Agribusiness Partnership, AFAP, Michael Sudakasa, demanded commitment from governments and policymakers towards the fertilizer value chain.
Because they create potentially offtake opportunities for our farmers. Because if a decision is taken by ECOWAS, all of the member states have to adopt it.
The country lead for the Feed the Future policy link, Yunus Abdullahi, called for open discussions to help develop evidence-based policy recommendations to support Ghana's fertilizer and agro-input sectors.
How fertilizer policies, regulatory regimes could be coherent and support access, and particularly to the smallholder farmer in Ghana.
The dialogue is a component of the West African preparations for the African Soil Health Summit to be held in Dakar, Senegal in July this year.
Media Live returns with the latest in sports after the break. Stay with us.
When it comes to the world of sports, what does complete mean to you?
When my team scores at the end of a 30-plus passing sequence, just like Pep Guardiola style.
When someone beats the buzzer with a shot from the logo, like Steph Curry.
Dominating opponents and punching my waist to a knockout, like Africa's greatest boxer, Azuma Nelson.
Running so fast that I can afford to celebrate midway through a 100-meter race and smash the world record like Usain Bolt.
Hold up. What makes all of these sports complete is the screen. This is where you get access to all the extensive highlights, analysis, and insights. So do join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. live on QFM 92.7 as we serve you the best sports buffet and most satisfying in the sports world. The three sports team will come together to review, preview, and analyze the latest in the sports world here on Sports Ultras.
We are on a mission promoting access to quality health and education through the power of our media space. Since 2014, we have made great impact. TV3 mission now drives Ghana's quest to break barriers and provide access to inclusive and quality girls' education, together with women's maternal health services. Our mission to address the needs of the socially excluded has won the admiration of many. Indeed, TV3 Mission gets you the results. Mission is live on TV3 News 360 every Saturday and Sunday. Supported by Star Ghana Foundation, with thanks to Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office.
And there was this time that we were doing some work on site, doing some plastering, what we call dressing. And he wasn't doing it right. And I showed him what to do. He just looked at me, he didn't say anything. And I was like, doesn't this guy understand what I said? Maybe he didn't understand. Later on I got to know that the guy says he doesn't take instructions from women. I said, you don't take instructions from women? All right. I said, the next day I went to the site. I said, please, this guy cannot work on this site. If he will not take instructions, that will help him in his own workmanship to be a better mason. Then I cannot work with him.
Watch the inspiring stories, great achievements, and challenges of outstanding women in Ghana.
Ghana Women Award Diaries now shows Saturdays at 5 p.m. on TV3.
The Ghana Women Awards is brought to you by Techno, Stop at Nothing, Tasty Tom.
Welcome back to the broadcast. Sports News is up next. Yafosulabi is here. Yeah, do your thing.
Let's just get into the sports news this afternoon here on Media Live on TV3. To our first story, and Seydou Bassett scored 4 goals in either half as Accra Lions stand Mediama SC by 4-2 at the Accra Sports Stadium. Bassett hit a brace in either half as the Lions roared to a mesmerizing display to record one of their best results of the campaign.
Threaded into the 18-yard box, and again it's Nuruddin Abdullahi who rises to the occasion. Then they give the ball away. Kojo Amuako, faulty control of the ball through the middle. Accra Lions have an opportunity. Oh, buries that with ease. Looking for goal number 2, Samari. To the near side, this looks good. The fans are getting behind them. Yes, Evans. Hamidu stands tall. It's brought back to Bassett. He gets goal number 2. Last 5 games for Mediama has been good. Shot on target, he hits the hand. Referee was right there on the spot, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Is Medeama getting back into the game? Yes, they are.
Calm, cool. Excellent finish.
Twisting and turning. Player goes down. It's another penalty.
Yeah, there he's saying it is me. He's weaving his magic. It is that player with that magic under his feet, nimble-footed. He's going round. Issa, but
themselves back on level pegging. It's a Tinga.
Splendid. Who launches in
deep into the 18-yard box. Well, that's the icing on the cake. Eventually, it's booted away. Basit Saidu, could it be goal number 4? Nuruddin covers nicely, but Basit goes on him. He sets up the pass. Oh my word! Basit Saidu.
Basit Saidu, the impressive performance from the young star of Accra Lions there, giving them that 4-2 win over Medeama SC. Now, as part of developing sports in our various communities, former Member of Parliament for the Lejokuku constituency, Bernard Okoboy, has constructed an international standard AstroTurf for the people of Teshie.
Former Member of Parliament for the Lejokuku constituency, Bernard Okoboy, has shared his delight after inspecting the AstroTurf facility at Teshie Star Park. The facility is a project constructed by leading AstroTurf installers, Wembley Sports Complex, and financed by Dr. Daniel Macaulay of the Magdan fame. The facility comes with a standard pitch, floodlights, fencing, changing rooms, and spectator stands. The former legislator Bernard Okoboy was full of praise for the contractors as he was overwhelmed by the quality of work.
This is a stadium that is multi-purpose. Phase 1 is going to have a standard pitch that we can see, a standard FIFA-approved pitch. And then Phase 2 is going to have a mini boxing auditorium, a basketball courts, and lawn tennis courts. It's our expectation that even one of the premier teams will use this place as their home, how do you call it, their home grounds or matches. You know, football has a lot that it contributes to the economy of a community.
Robert Coleman, CEO of Wembley Sports Construction Company Limited, shares insight into the project.
You know, because of the Homowo Festival, they want to play their annual Homowo matches here, a tournament that they want to invite all the Ghana communities to come and join them. So I have assured them that I'm going to work assiduously to ensure that I complete the project timeously and then hand it over to them. And that I can say, when you look at the quality of the pitch, it is very high. I am extremely excited of what my guys have been able to do, and I say it with a lot of enormous humility and pride that Wembley is the only company in West Africa that has been able to do a football pitch that has been validated by FIFA.
Some ex-players within the Teshie community also shared their excitement.
Spin out some more stories, and there are countless talents in Ghana when it comes to football. For the past 2 years, Ian Okujeto has been organizing football competitions to help unearth some talents, and there's more in the following report from my colleague Rio Kampofo.
The 4-team tournament took place at Adidome in the Volta region. Adidome Unity Stars, Mafi Dove Galaxy, Bakpa FC and Mafi Kumase Heroes battled for supremacy in the Mafi Youth Annual Football Unity Gala during Easter. The tournament, which was supported by Ian Gavivina Okujeto, saw Adidome Unity Stars come out victorious in the end. They overcame a tough challenge from Dove Galaxy, beating them by 2-1. Unity Stars received a cash sum and jerseys for winning the competition. Bakpa FC defeated Mafi Kumasi Heroes 1-0 to finish third, as Dove Galaxy ended up as runners-up. Okujeto believes this year's edition was an improvement on the maiden edition last year.
Oh, it's been actually thrilling, and because of the way last year, the support we got from the people of Adidome and Mafi Kumasi and the surrounding villages, we realized we had to take this competition to another level. So of course, yes, we organize it. We also realize over here there are a lot of good talents, but the issue here is they don't have someone who give them that exposure, and also they don't have someone who open that door and hold it for them to enter. So yes, this tournament is actually a vehicle to help promote talent in the area.
The Mafi Youth Annual Football Unity Gala is expected to continue growing, with the next edition slated for April 2024.
Right, so that was the reports there by my colleague Uri Kwampofo. It brings us to the end of the sports news this afternoon here on Media Live on TV3. My name is Yao Fusulabi.
When the sun rises, there is hope. While this hope lingers on, the citizens look up to the government, the economy, the national development agenda, and everything in between.
On Ghana Tonight, it's our utmost priority to bring you insightful conversations on the economy, break down the biggest issues while setting the agenda for transformation and national development. The big and important stories are treated from the human interest angle, while the facts and the figures are painted with precision. So now, let's cut the convention and start the conversation here on Ghana Tonight. I am your host, Alfred Okamse.
Ghana Tonight shows Monday to Friday at 10 p.m. on TV3.
We are on a mission promoting access to quality health and education through the power of our media space. Since 2014, we have made great impact. TV3 mission now drives Ghana's quest to break barriers and provide access to inclusive and quality girls' education, together with women's maternal health services. Our mission to address the needs of the socially excluded has won the admiration of many. Indeed, TV3 Mission gets you the results. Mission is live on TV3 News 360 every Saturday and Sunday. Supported by Star Ghana Foundation, with thanks to Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office.
Welcome to this main segment of the program. VGMA and Sang Actor of the Year nominee Nation has played his debut show in Europe. The Sisi Yellow singer performed alongside Ghanaian Afropop songstress Wiala and another renowned artist at the Afri-Lax Dodo and Friends concert in Switzerland. The fast emerging artist excited patrons of the concert with his breathtaking delivery. Now, the first, he performed the song Kutoka with popular Swiss artist Dodo and later joined Wiala to entertain the charged crowd with the song Tell Money to Come. Well, still in entertainment, artist manager Bulldog has been reacting to Obrafo's lawsuit against Canadian rapper Drake, and who actually owns the intellectual property at the center of the controversy. According to him, Manche owns the intellectual property.
With intellectual property, whether you were paid for the work or not, you still own it. Nobody can pay for your mind. It's just like creating beats. Anybody who creates the beats, once even if you pay for the beats, you just hide the beats. You understand? But intellectually, it's the person who composed the beats who owns it for life, and that's why we have split sheets. You understand? So even if Obrafo paid Manche for this work, Manche owns the intellectual property. Manche is a co-writer. You understand? So when you come to split sheets, and like the lawyer said, if Obrafo has registered this song
solely for him. That's theft.
Is it?
Yes, to start with. Because when you go there are co-writers, and in the split sheets, everybody needs to make their money. Now, when we talk about writing or composition in music, it's not just about the people writing the lyrics. The people playing the beats are composers as well. You understand? So everybody in there gets a bite of the cake. You understand? And especially in this sampling, whatever it is Mancha's voice that we hear clearly. So Mafo has no right, and Mancha is right.
Well, that's your entertainment. Let's now bring you some international news. Street battles are being fought by Sudan's rival forces in the capital in an escalation of violence despite calls for a ceasefire to mark the Muslim holiday of Eid al-Fitr. Now, the paramilitary rapid support forces, they said they had agreed to a 3-day truce, and several hours later, the army did the same. But bombing, shelling and gunfire continue. At least 400 people have been killed in the week of fighting in Sudan. It is the result of a bitter power struggle between two factions of the Sudanese military leadership over how the country should be run. Meanwhile, diplomats and nationals from the US, UK, France and China are to be evacuated from Sudan as fighting there continues. A statement from the Sudanese army says. Still in international news, human rights activists have welcomed the move by President Yoweri Museveni to return a draft of the anti-homosexuality bill to Parliament for review, saying it provides them with more time to fight it. On Thursday, Museveni, in a meeting with legislators of the ruling National Resistance Movement Party, congratulated them upon passing the bill in March. But President Museveni said that while he agrees with the bill, legislators need to make changes to not frighten someone who, in his words, needs rehabilitation and wants to come out. The bill was widely condemned for what human rights activists have called some of the world's harshest punishments against the gay community. The bill mandates life in prison for anyone who engages in homosexual acts, up to 20 years for promoting homosexuality, and a 3-year sentence for children convicted of homosexuality. Certain acts of gay sex could warrant the death penalty. Well, that's our package this afternoon. My name is Noble Crosby, and thank you so much for watching the bulletin. And again, a happy Eid Mubarak to all our Muslim brothers and sisters. May the spirit of the season bring together families and friends as they share in joy, peace and happiness. My name is Noble Crosby, and thank you so much for watching the bulletin. It's Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. We'll see you some other time. Bye-bye.
This program is rated PG. It contains scenes of brief nudity, mild violence, and strong language.